A.J. Brown, 6 games in a row, 125 plus yards. I think that streak goes to 7. I think he has a big game here. I think he's going to be a phenomenal receiver. He's arguably the best receiver in football. I know Tyreek Hill started off hot, but A.J. Brown's right on his heels. He's catching up to him. So, and I don't think the defenses are going to just shut each other down. I think both teams are going to score. I'm interested to see, like I said, Dak, what he does against the Eagles in a late it's going to be America's game of the week, probably on Fox. So, that's going to be all eyes are on this. And I'm going to go Eagles 31-27. All About the Balls podcast with Mark Davis, Chris Meinhardt, Luke Rule, and Nick the Doc Skirkowitz. Welcome to All About the Balls podcast. I'm Mark Davis in the Sack House with the Mount Door boys, Chris Meinhardt and Luke Rule. It's an all Florida Shoy boys. How are we doing, Chris, as the Saints are about to host Doc's team who's not here, the Chicago Bears? How are you feeling?
Might be the fucking most relaxed I felt going into a weekend, Mark, honestly. I mean,
yeah, I don't
pretty much secure dub.
Falcons do have a game against the Bears later in the year, so maybe I'll feel a little secure that later in the year in December time. So, but yeah, no Doc. I think that's why he's not here. He didn't want to have to pick against the Bears. He didn't have to root for the Saints. So, no Doc tonight.
Understandable.
And Luke, you have one of the biggest games of the week. Second time in 3 weeks. This time playing against the Seattle Seahawks. Both teams. Well, you're 6-2. They're 5-2. Both teams first place in the division. Pete Carroll loves coming out to the West Coast. So how you feeling coming in this game? I'm sorry, the East Coast.
Yeah, feeling good. I mean, it should be a pretty good game. I think they got the Ravens as 6-point favorites right now. So I feel pretty good. Game.
It's a little much to me, but I mean, I understand the Ravens are doing good this year. It's just it's a high point spread for two first place teams.
And if we keep our offense rolling, should be good. Our defense is pretty solid, one of the top defenses in the NFL. So,
and man, you would not believe if I told you this, Luke, and probably Chris neither. So I had to defend the Ravens in a different chat. So this guy comes out of nowhere and he says that the Ravens defense is overrated. He didn't say the team; he said the defense. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying, dude. Like they're playing pretty good. I was like, I mean, yeah, they gave up some garbage points to the Cardinals, but he's like, yeah, that's I was like, the Cardinals scores. Like, well, so did the Cowboys. Like, yeah, every team has a bad game. Like, so then this was the Ravens' bad game, right? He's like, well, the Bengals scored 24. I was like, no, they scored 17. One was a punt return. So that's not on the defense. That's on the special teams. And then he's like, well, Joe Burrow was hurt. I was like, so there's just an excuse no matter what the Ravens do. I was like, if you just said the Ravens, like, whole team's overrated, maybe I can understand that. Maybe I still don't trust the offense as much, but
most of the Cardinals' points were in the fourth quarter. It's like when the game's pretty much done.
I backed y'all up, though, because I was like, you guys said Philly had a shit schedule last year, and look what they did. They went to the Super Bowl. So I was like, they play who's in front of them. I respect the defense enough. It's always a good defense. So,
yeah, the only thing we're missing really is pass rush. Like, we're lacking in the pass rush area. Other than that, we're pretty good.
You lead the league in sacks, though.
Yeah, we get there. Just not always quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he also said, like, he expects Nick Bosa to have an 80% pressure rate, too. And I was just like, you guys are, like, ridiculous with your stats. Like, there's no way – I don't care if Chevy's the highest paid player. 80% is that's a lot for a pass rusher. So, but Falcons boys playing against the Minnesota Vikings, not Desmond Ridder versus Kirk Cousins. Instead, it's going to be Taylor Heineke, about fucking time, versus Jaren Hall. So 2 4-4 teams facing off in the dirty ATL. Get Heineke versus –
Breaking news. Dobbs traded to the Vikings.
Yeah, I know. I feel like he's been traded 5 times this week.
I haven't seen that.
I love how Doc came in super late. It was just like fucking breaking news. I'm like, yo, we talked about this 10 hours ago. I don't know where you've been.
Doc lives in his own world sometimes.
God, he does.
He actually has to work, so he just can't be on his phone all day. So
hey.
I don't know.
Chill.
He was texting pretty early one of these past couple of days. I think it was actually Halloween. He was texting.
Hey, I've been working 8-hour shifts.
Calm down now.
Calm down now.
So tough.
Hey, but real quick before we go, how's Halloween for you boys?
It was good. We had like we actually didn't go out trick or treating. Parker is still not really old enough to understand the whole aspect of it, and it was freezing cold. So we went to trunk or treat. We brought her there the other day. Last night we had about 3 kids come to the door, and then I told Paige turn the fucking light off. Done going to the door and handing out candy. So then we stayed.
What's cold in Texas?
It's like 30s in the morning. No, it's 30s in the morning.
Well, that's mornings. What about when you're handing out candy?
Handing out candy? It was I think it was like 40, 50. We have a cold front.
It was like 35 out here. We were out there running around for an hour and a half. Bell's a trooper, so she had a good little time. I fucked up, Chris. I forgot to turn my light on when I left the house. So I had a bucket of candy out on the porch. No trick-or-treaters came when it got pitch dark. I was like, fuck. I wanted to get rid of all this candy, and I had a whole bucket full of candy that I bought, and all the candy she got. So, Luke, how are you doing with trick-or-treating? You handing out some candy this year?
No, I didn't. I kept the porch light off all night and just chilled at home. So, it was not about passing out candy. So, I mean, I had a nice, relaxing night.
Luke would have strapped his gun up and probably would have been like, yeah, no one here.
No. Yeah, kept the lights off. At least, stay away.
I at least blessed 3 kids, you know?
Yeah. I bought candy with good intention, but got home like around 7 o'clock last night. I'm like, I'm not passing out fucking candy.
Yeah, the intention's for you and Sydney to have the candy, so see what you're doing.
Yeah,
that's what I was doing.
Well, boys, there's a new tide this year for the picks, so let's get into it. Chris last week went 14-2. Only had 2 losses last week, so damn.
I'm coming back to back weeks.
You are, man. You also went
only if you kept in the app, though.
Yeah, only if you kept in the app.
Dude, I know. Fuck.
Yeah.
Or if I would have did a score, but I still would have got it wrong.
Luke had the same similar situation earlier. He didn't keep his picks from the paper to the app. And
I think I had 1 loss.
The fucking Falcons, bro.
Yeah, we'll see if you pick them this week, but. Chris, you did go 8.
I'm picking against him.
Oh, we'll see. Chris, you went 8-7-1 this week against the spread. So on the year, you're 73-49. You're catching back up, and then for the spread, you still have some work to do. You're 53-66-3 on the year.
I'll be betting 500.
Yeah, you're getting there. You're getting close. Myself and Luke went 11-5, so I still can't pick up a fucking game on him. And I went 8-7-1 against the spread, so I'm 75-47 straight up against the spread. 62-57-3. Luke, you went 8-8 against the spread. You just don't get these ties that often. So, but you're 79-43 on the year, straight up, and against the spread 62-59-1. So, just because of the ties, I have a better winning percentage there. So a lot of ties. Ties help you out. And then Doc went 9-7 straight up, 7-8-1. He is now 75-47 with me and 61-58-3. So, Chris, we're all in the 70s. You're only 6 games back. A lot of ball left. You have a chance. Keep chipping away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you boys. I don't know if this week's going to be a good week or a bad week because there's a lot of games that can flip and go either fucking way.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And like Luke's game, that's going to be a game that can go either way, in my opinion. That was the hardest game for me to pick, too. And I don't know if Matthew Stafford's playing, so the Rams-Packers game, of course, that's a fucking tough one for me to pick. But so same orders last week, Chris, myself, Luke. So back-to-back weeks where Chris goes first and Luke goes last. So, but Luke is still leading, so he still has the advantage at the moment. He's got the percentage. But let's start off Thursday night. The rookie, Will Levis, is the starter as the Tennessee Titans travel to the Steel City to face Kenny Pickett. Breaking news yesterday, he is starting. So we get Kenny Pickett versus Will Levis. Chris, the Steelers are 2.5-point favorites at home.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this week can go either way, and I think this is a perfect way to start it. This game could literally go any way. The Steelers play super hard at home. They're good. I think they're going to have to rely very heavily on their defense to win this game if they do win the game. Pickett's playing with that rib injury, so I mean, how limited is he going to be in the passing game? I think Henry's actually going to have a really good game. The Steelers defense right now, 137 rushing yards per game. Per game. So, I mean, they're giving up some rushing yards, and we saw Henry last week against the Steelers. I think that's going to open up Will Levis to have another amazing game over there with D-Hop. So, it's tough picking against the Steelers in the Berg, but I'm going to have to go with riding Will Levis and his Mayo coffee. I'm going Titans 23, Steelers 17.
Yeah, Chris, like you said, this is a game that I was looking at very closely as well. It's one of those games where this could be a game where Pittsburgh gets back on track, but I liked what I saw with Will Levis last week too, and like you said, the Steelers' defense, they're not the greatest. I know their points per game isn't that bad. Honestly, only 21 points a game. That's not the worst. Now the yards is where they do a lot of bending. So I think this game we're going to see Will Levis, we're going to see Derrick Henry, and maybe a little DeAndre Hopkins once again. We'll see maybe this time he doesn't throw Joey Porter around like he was throwing Terrell around on his first touchdown. So, but I do think Will Levis, I think, has a big game here. He solidifies himself as the starter for the year, for the remainder of the year for the Titans. And like the show said, Will Levis is here to save the Titans. That was the title of our last show we just did. And I think he's the potential savior for this team. I'm going Titans 23-20, win by a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly a coin flip game. Goes either way. Steelers always a tough team to beat. Like, it's very, very rare Steelers go and get blown out by somebody. I mean, team's well coached by Mike Tomlin. Offense is not well coached by Canada. So I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry going against his defense. He'll probably get 20-plus carries and another 100 yards. And you know what that means? It's a Titans W. Derrick Henry has 100 yards.
Is he going to eat a dub?
He's going to eat a dub. So I'm going to go Titans 23-21.
Man, so we all got a close game. I hope Doc does pick Pittsburgh because it's that like where it's a close game. Either team go. I don't want to see all fours pick the same team because it's
tough.
Like
Pittsburgh just lost at home last week, so I mean it's tough to see them lose at home 2 weeks in a row. But
I just don't trust Kenny Pickett right now, especially injured.
Yeah,
and Pickens
Steelers just find a way to win games. Like Mike Tomlin just figures it out somehow. They'll get
humbled.
They'll be 8-8-1 at least.
Yeah, they won't have a losing record, so they'll probably win 9 games. Just I don't think it starts or it's going to come here. But Pickens also got humbled last week too, where he only had that one catch. It was for a touchdown, but he was talking a lot of shit to the Jaguars, and the Jaguars came out and they fucking shut his ass up. So and the Titans defense is honestly pretty good.
After the game.
Oh yeah, they were. Titans defense is pretty good, boys. So I think it's going to be a pretty decent Thursday night game, honestly. I'm not thinking like a lot of fireworks with offense, but I think it's going to be an entertaining game at least. So
I hope so. We need some good Thursday night games.
Next week is going to be shit, so we need a good one this week. So
yeah.
But Sunday morning, boys, this is the start of the back-to-back weeks in Frankfurt, Germany. The first time ever in Frankfurt. I know last year it was I forgot where's the other big city out there in Germany? It was out there. But anyways, the Miami Dolphins, revenge game, Tyreek Hill facing the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 1.5-point favorites. I think it's a tough spread here. I didn't know which way they were going to lean, but they're leaning towards the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sad I'm going to miss the morning parts of NFL Sunday, thanks to the Army making us work on the weekends. But I mean, the Chiefs got a heart-wrenching loss against the Denver fucking Broncos last week. Mahomes' flu game. And then, I mean, the Dolphins still haven't won a game against a team that has a winning record yet. But a little side fact, Chase Claypool finally got his first win since October 22. So, round of applause for Chase Claypool.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is like, I don't know. I think Mahomes is going to get the offense back in action. I think the Chiefs defense is going to be able to contain the Dolphins a little bit. I mean, it's a Germany game, like we said. It could go either way. We'll continue the trend that this could go either way. But I do have Chiefs 30, Dolphins 26.
30-26. All right, it's a close game. But yeah, like you, Chris, this is a game that could go either way, honestly. And like you said, the Dolphins haven't beat a team with a winning record yet. And this is a revenge game for Tyreek Hill. He just recently came out and said Brandon Marshall that he never wanted to leave the Chiefs. His agent was just using the contract negotiations as bait. Now, he did have 3 teams in mind. It was obviously the Dolphins and Jets, but he went to the team. The Chiefs didn't want to spend that much money that he was asking for, but that might be some motivation for this game for him to go out there and have maybe like a 150-yard game. But like you said, the Chiefs coming off an upset in Denver. I think this is a bounce-back game for them. I think no flu. I'm not using it as an excuse, but Mahomes will be healthy. And potential Taylor Swift might be in attendance. She's got a European tour out there coming up soon, so she might already be out there ready to go see old Travis Kelce, and he has a good game. But I think the Chiefs' defense is going to do pretty well containing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm not saying they're going to be shut down, but I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs will have a big game here. I think they will win on a walk-off field goal by arguably the best kicker in football, Harrison Butker. I'm going Kansas City Chiefs 27, Miami Dolphins 24.
So something you guys haven't mentioned yet was every game across the pond, the early team won and covered the spread. So Miami's already out there in Germany. Kansas City's not leaving until tomorrow or Friday. So I'm going Miami. It's going to cover the spread. They went out early. They're used to the time zone. We don't know what Kansas City's going to be like coming out, having like 2 days to flip the schedule. So I'm going Miami 31, Chiefs 28.
Still a close game, though. Still a close game.
They cover the spread, though.
Okay, cover the spread. Well, I mean, if they win, win, the spread's already covered. So, but I think that's going to be a great game, boys. It's a great way to wake up Sundays. Chris, I hope you can catch at least the tail end of it. It's going to be a phenomenal game. I wish it was in Kansas City, too, to see what the love that Tyreek Hill would have got from the Chiefs faithful. So, but Germany got it. I don't think it would have got booed. I think they would have cheered him pregame. They would have cheered him. Obviously, during the game, they probably boo a little bit. But all right, boys. Sunday, the normal time zone now, starting with the 1 p.m. slot. The Minnesota Vikings, we announced already. Jaren Hall, no Kirk Cousins. They did trade for Josh Dobbs, but Coach O'Connell has already said that Jaren Hall is the starter. We'll be traveling to the dirty ATL, Atlanta, to face Taylor Heinicke, recently new announced starter. Thank God Arthur Smith finally made a correct call there. And the Falcons are 4.5-point favorites at home, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, Ritter's going to be out. Heinicke's back. Heinicke looked like he was controlling the offense a lot better than Ritter. I mean, 12 for 21, 175 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he almost brought the Falcons back to win last week. So I think Heinicke's definitely a better choice than Ritter. And then the Vikings starting their rookie Jaren Hall against one of the top defenses in the league right now. I think it's going to be an easy dub for the Falcons. Falcons 27, Vikings 13.
Wow, 2 touchdowns. I don't even have us covering the spread. I think it's actually going to be a pretty entertaining game. I think it's going to be close because we don't know what – I mean, like, so CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, we played both the top rookies. Yes, we played Will Levis too, but we knew, like, Bryce Young and we knew CJ Stroud just because they were highly touted in college. So there's a lot of definitely good game film there, especially with the talent they have. But with BYU, they don't have the superior talent like Alabama and Ohio State. So it's a lot harder to kind of read this rookie. And I think it is going to be hard to read them in the first half. The Falcons defense, I just looked it up. They're the 6th ranked defense in yards. Yes, we are giving up about 20 points a game. Now, a lot of those points, because I said we don't give a lot of yards, so a lot of the points are coming off turnovers. I think Heinicke will limit the turnovers that Desmond Ridder was providing the other team. I think Heinicke looked a lot better, looked a lot confident giving the ball there. If Drake London's good to go, I think London will be heavily involved like he's been with Ridder. I think Kyle Pitts will be heavily involved. Hodges and Van Jefferson's going to be involved. This running game's going to get opened up again. I think this is going to be a good thing for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl or anything in Week 9, but I like what we're doing right now with Taylor Heinicke. We do have one of the top defenses. Sucks that Grady Jarrett tore his ACL. Wish him a speedy recovery. But I'm going Falcons 24, Minnesota 20. I think it's still a close game, and Minnesota covers the spread.
I think real quick, you were talking about C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. I mean, I think the big difference here is, like, those guys got off-season reps. They knew they were going to be the number one. They were able to rep out with the team all off-season and preseason, everything. I mean, Jaren Hall hasn't started with the ones until what Monday, Tuesday, whenever they did their first practice. So, I mean, this man is getting thrown into the blender against a tough defense.
A defense that's hungry, too, especially after their worst performance of the year against the Tennessee Titans. So that's also they're going to be a little pissed off. So
you can say the same thing with Will Levis. Like, he didn't know he was a starter until that week. So, but I think Will Levis is probably a better talent than Hall. Vikings offense. Kirk Cousins looked really good, but we don't know this new guy is going to look like. Falcons good defense. They're probably a little upset about getting fucking burnt last week by 4 touchdowns from Levis. I don't think Hall gets 4 touchdowns on the Falcons defense. Maybe 1, maybe 2 at the most. Heinicke is proven quarterback. He's played well in shitty situations before on shitty teams and has played well. Proven quarterback. He's played all different levels of NFL and professional football. Played Arena 2, I think, and XFL. So I like Heinicke to make Smart calls, maybe some calculated risk plays in there too. So I'm going to go Falcons 21-17.
Also, we're not talking about it. It's a revenge game for Taylor Heinicke. He started his career as a Minnesota Viking, so he's got a lot of revenge on his mind too.
I had no clue he was even on the Vikings.
I forgot he was on the Viking, and then Riz Love me were talking today. He's like, "You do realize Heinicke started as Viking?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." He was like a practice squad guy. It wasn't like anything crazy, but hey, he started as a Viking, so revenge game for him. But I think arguably game of the week, boys, the Seattle Seahawks coming off a kind of an ugly win, I think, against the Cleveland Browns. Top defense, though, in the league. Now they're traveling to Baltimore to face the Baltimore Ravens, who are 6-2, first place in the AFC North. The Ravens are 6-point favorites, like Luke pointed out earlier. So, Chris, are the Vegas odds wrong here, or are you going Ravens?
No, I'm going Ravens here. I mean, the Ravens are coming off a little bit of a lackluster offense last week. They didn't play as good until their offense opened up in the fourth quarter. Seattle, they are in first place, but I mean, every game you can watch, I mean, they're struggling. Geno, I think people are writing Geno off, and I know he's not riding back, but he probably should be riding back. But I do think Lamar is going to be playing a lot better this week. So I have Ravens 27, Seahawks 18.
Nice.
Yeah, this was a tough game, and for some reason I do think that the Ravens deep down are going to win, but I am going a road upset here because Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, they love playing in the East Coast time at that 1 p.m. slot. And I know a lot of West Coast teams, they struggle. It's kind of like what Luke said about going to London. If you're a little jet lagged, I know it's only 3 hours, but still jet lag is a thing when you are going to a different time zone. And the Seahawks don't usually have that problem. And I think that Geno's not going to prove me wrong as in like he's back, but I do think he has a decent game. I think this might be not one of the worst games, but the Ravens offense is going to capitalize in the situation of the Seahawks. They are getting Leonard Williams there too. So that's a big key addition for the Seahawks up front. I think that Lamar is going to struggle a little bit and still be in the game and make plays. But I think at the end of the game, the Seahawks win this game 24-20. But I could also flip it. But I'm going to go with the road upset here with the Seahawks. Battle of the Birds too.
Yeah, Mark, I disagree with you here. Seahawks traveling across country to the 12 o'clock kickoff, I think it's a little more difficult than you're saying it is. I get the Seahawks have played well. Geno has not played well all season, really. DK, they can't seem to get him going this season. Not the level he's supposed to be. Their wide receiver's been kind of hit or miss this year. Kenneth Walker looks good, but the Ravens also one of the top defenses against the run and the pass this season. So, I mean, Geno Smith struggled last week against a top defense, and he's going to struggle again against another top defense this week. And the Ravens' offense is going to be better than the Browns' offense. So they're going to get the job done in the bank. 31-21.
Man, I'm just excited to see this game. I think it's just going to be a phenomenal. I think it's going to be better than that loss to the Lions and Ravens game that was so hyped up. But battle of first place, if the Seahawks win this, they have a good little advantage on the 49ers. So in the Ravens, same thing. They have a big advantage on the rest of the AFC North. So both teams have a lot to play for this week. And you mentioned the Browns, Luke. That's the next thing we're going to be picking up next is the Arizona Cardinals with their new quarterback. I forgot his name, honestly, already. It just slipped my mind. Yep, Clayton Tune. He's heading to the dog pound to face the Cleveland Browns. Still don't know who's starting for the Browns this week, but Browns are 8-point favorites at home against the Cardinals.
Have they said Kyler's going to start or no?
Kyler is most likely going. Yeah, he's not playing, but they've already said most likely he's not him, but the reporters that are saying that his window closes after next week. So they're going to probably activate him against the Falcons next week.
Yeah, I mean, Cannon's fucking confusing. I don't know if he even knows what the Cardinals are doing. He wants to talk about he was benching Dobbs. He wants the quarterback to be more competitive room. And then they say that they're going to start Clayton Tune. Like, I get it. Dobbs wasn't getting it done, but I mean, you want to be competitive. I think Dobbs was your best choice. But I mean, they must know that Kyler Murray's coming back soon because they went ahead and traded Dobbs to at least get some draft picks. The Browns defense played much better than they did week 7 against the Colts. So I think they're going to have a little bit of motivation on their end and I think they're going to just dominate the Cardinals. Honestly, the Browns are also a way better team in the dog pound. So I have Browns 30, Cardinals 17.
Yeah, and I think like so far my story of these underdogs is they cover the spread if they don't win. And I'm gonna go Cleveland 27-20. I think it's gonna be maybe a backdoor cover, kind of what they did against the Ravens where they kicked that field goal and they covered on the like a bullshit. I mean, they had to get 2 scores, but like you said, Chris, better in Cleveland the Browns are, and PJ Walker, Deshaun Watson, it doesn't matter. I think this defense is going to eat the Cardinals alive. I think the offense is going to do pretty well, actually. I think that the run game will get involved. I think Amari Cooper is going to have a decent game as well. The Cardinals, I don't think they know what they're doing this year. Right now, they currently have the first pick via their own selves. They still have Houston's pick later or in the middle of the draft. But I think that they're content on whatever happens. Kyler will come back next week against the Falcons, and he might be a 1 or 2 game done guy, and he might sit for the year because I don't think Kyler's going to play the full year. So, but for this game, I'm going Browns 27-20.
And big thing is like like we've mentioned, it's at the Browns, and it's cold up there. I mean, Ohio just got almost 3 inches of snow last night, and that stadium's on a fucking lake. So the indoor Cardinals are about to get their shit rocked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this game is really even a question. It's going to be the Browns. The Browns defense, one of the top in the NFL. Like we've said, the Browns defense is pretty much half of their offense at this point. Browns offense just can't get it going. They can't figure out the quarterback situation. Deshaun Watson, probably not going to play again. I think they're better off just rolling with Walker for the rest of the season. Anyways, he's playing somewhat okay football. I mean, good enough for the Browns to keep winning games. Cardinals, new quarterback. I think they're just trying to tank, lose as many games as they can before Kyler Murray comes back and tries to win games. So I think Cardinals are still going for that first overall pick. So Browns win 24-17.
So yeah, so they cover the spread though. So, but yeah, let's move on here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a 2-game skid now, as they are traveling to Houston to face the Houston Texans, who came off a ugly loss following their bye week, 15-13 to the Panthers. The Texans are 3-point favorites at home, Chris. So we have C.J. Stroud versus Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, this is another one of those games that, like, my pick could literally change game day. I mean, the Bucs have lost 3 straight. They are coming off a little mini bye week from Thursday night. The offense, Baker, that offense is struggling, like I said. And then, like you said, Mark, the Texans are definitely coming off an upset loss against the Panthers. I mean, that's heartbreaking. The Texans' defense, though, is a little stingy. I mean, right now, the Bucs rank 28th in the league in red zone. So, I mean, I think the red zone is going to be a big factor in this game, as if Tampa can score when they get into the red zone. But I have the Texans 24, Bucs 20. But like I said, I mean, it's one of those games that could fucking flip.
Yeah, this is a game that I was looking at too, Chris, and I'm like, man, I just don't know what to pick here. Tampa is, like you said, riding a 3-game losing streak, and they need to kind of win this game if they want to stay afloat in the NFC South. I understand the South isn't like crazy good right now, but if the Saints win, the Falcons win, and they lose, you're just slowly falling apart. You're slowly falling back. And same thing with Houston. The AFC South seems like it's the Jaguars, but the AFC wild card, they're still in the hunt. And they both need this game pretty bad, but I think I'm going to go Tampa here. I think that with Mike Evans having not that great of a game against the Bills, I think he kind of has a big game as teams were trying to get him in the trade market this past week. I think that Evans and I think Godwin are both going to have good games, and I think Baker's going to do pretty good. I need him to. He's in my dynasty league, but I think this defense also is going to confuse C.J. Stroud a little bit. C.J. Stroud didn't look that good against the Panthers last week, and I think it kind of maybe rolls into this week too. He kind of struggles in the beginning of the game. I'm going to go Bucs 24-20 over the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Mark. I think this is the Bucs get right game. They're in a little slump right now, but they're coming off the mini bye after a tough loss against the Bills. I mean, we all, except me, I thought Bucs would play better against the Bills than they did. But I think the offense gets it right this week. Defense still looks pretty good overall. Not the best defense, but solid. I think the defense is going to give C.J. Stroud some problems. So I'm going to go Bucks 21-17. Close game.
And the Bucks were a Hail Mary away from winning that game last week, or at least kick an extra point to try and win the game. I mean, a lot of pass interference that wasn't called. And, normally Hail Marys, I get it. Both sides of the ball, they do it. But this pass Hail Mary was one-sided. And the Bucks had a shot, honestly. Even if Godwin just looks up and finds the ball, they win the game probably.
Yeah, Godwin still could have won the game even with all that pass interference.
Yeah, I think he just lost the ball until it was literally right on his shoulder pad, essentially.
Yeah,
so
if he wasn't being tackled, maybe he would have had a shot. But
I mean, I guess they don't always call defense pass interference. I mean, I guess NFL, so they're inconsistent with these refs, honestly. But that's neither here or there. They are. They're pretty bad. It's college too. It's not just the NFL. We have an Iowa buddy that still fucking gets pissed off about the Iowa-Minnesota game. So
that one is fucked up.
That one was really bad. And he said his mom was in the attendance, and they said that they were reviewing it for out of bounds. And then all of a sudden they're calling it now for that fake fair catch. So it's like the refs don't know what they're fucking talking about. But moving on to Chris's team, the New Orleans Saints, as they host the Chicago Bears. The Saints are 8.5-point favorites at home in the Dome. Yeah, Tyson Bagent, once again the starter versus a hot Derek Carr this week. Chris, where are you leaning?
Yeah, easily leaning towards the Saints here. I mean, like you said, Bagent played an absolute terrible game last week. I think the defense carried him against the Raiders, where the turnovers, the pick six, I mean, he was able to sit back in the pocket, be calm, do the checkdowns, and then last game, the defense wasn't there for him. He actually had to make plays, which turned into 2 interceptions. So Bears also coming off other road games. So, I mean, this is their second road game in a row. So I think that's going to be big. And then, like you said, the Saints, Carr looked hot last week. I think the offense is going to keep rolling. Pete Carmichael, he figured something out. I still don't like him. But I think Saints 28, Bears 13.
Pete Carmichael is going to be good enough to just keep his job.
Probably, dude. Probably.
But yeah, Chris, I'm kind of with you on this one. I think that the Saints offense is going to do pretty good against the Bears defense. And the Bears defense or offense is going to have a little bit of struggling moments against the Saints defense. One of the top defenses in the league, too. They're fifth in yards, and they're up there in points as well. Points per game only up 19. So I think this is going to be a very one-sided game here. I think the Saints win 31-20. Derek Carr stays hot, and Pete Carmichael looks like a genius once again.
Throw Taysom Hill in.
Put him at quarterback because he'll score some touchdowns. But yeah, I mean this game's pretty easy to pick. It's gonna be Saints all the way. Saints more dominant defense. They actually have an offense that's somewhat competent. So Saints won't have to rely on their defense to win this game for them this week. So easy game. Carr's getting together over here. Saints offense clicking. AK is looking pretty good. I mean, check down King is AK. So Saints going to win 28-17. I'll give them some.
Chris, if the Saints lose, you better burn some of your clothes because I know this is your survivor pick for the week. So if your team fucks you,
lose. Because Doc would not let you live it down too.
I don't even want to talk about it.
And that would cost you survivor, which is $800 on the line.
This game will be in my multi-view on Sunday.
I'm gonna miss a little bit of it, but I got it recorded.
Oh yeah, you get back to it, Chris. Tough game here. This was one thing I was talking to you about earlier. That's the Los Angeles Rams. Don't know if Stafford's playing. They do have Rippon and they do have John Wolford, who they signed off the Bucs practice squad, former Ram as well. They're traveling to the Green Bay Packers to face the Packers, essentially 3-point favorites for the home team, the Packers, and the president of the team said that these last 10 games for Jordan Love are very important as they're evaluating his future as a Green Bay Packer. So where are you leading? I guess this is the first of the 10 games that's very important for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is right now where the Packers stand, coming off 4 straight losses. This is going to be a huge game for the Packers, a must-win for Jordan Love. Big question right now is Stafford is dinged up with his finger. Is he going to play? Is it going to affect him? I mean, you see Justin Herbert out there with his little fucking finger cast out there, still throwing it. Don't get me wrong. Is Stafford's finger his throwing hand or his not throwing hand?
I didn't see,
I'm not
honestly.
sure yet.
I was looking for that too, but they said it was a sprain.
Yeah, because I know Herbert's it's his not throwing hand. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but either way, I mean, it might affect him, it might not. And second road game for the Rams right now, coming off that dominant loss from the Cowboys. I mean, they just looked like they didn't know what they were doing out there. But I have Green Bay covering, but I have Rams 21, Packers 19. I think it's going to be a close game, and this is another one of those following the trend of, hey, this game could literally go either way.
What was your score again? I'm sorry?
21-19.
And that was Rams?
Yes.
Yeah, this is like you said, Chris, either way here. And I have voiced my hatred for Jordan Love this year after that Raiders debacle that cost me Survivor. Cost me my weekly picks that week for our app. And I'm going to swallow that fucking hate for this week. And I'm going to go Packers. It's just because I don't know what to think of the Rams right now. If Stafford plays, how good is the thumb? I mean, the Packers, their defense is they play pretty solid. They're not really like highly rated, but they're a pretty decent young squad. And I think that's what's going to carry them to this win. I have the Packers 20-16. God, I'm just nervous to pick this game, but I'm going to go Packers.
Go Pack, go.
Yeah, this is definitely not a game I'm going to have my multi-view on Sunday, just because it's going to be pretty boring game overall. But I'm leaning towards the Packers. I think it's going to mean more to the Packers. Jordan Love, I mean, his job's on the line here. Stafford, not so much. Packers at home in Lambeau. It's going to be cold. Rams, they play in the fucking dome or whatever you want to, open air, covered stadium, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in LA. So completely different climate for them. It might be snowing in Green Bay. I don't know. I haven't checked the weather. It says it's going to be 45 there and cloudy, but we'll see what happens in a few days when the weather changes. So I'm going to go Packers 24-20.
Yeah, it's a fucking ugly ass game, honestly. I'm not excited to see it on my red zone screen if it pops up at all. I mean, unless it's a highly like firework game, sure, show it. But God, if it's not scoring any mini points, please keep it off my fucking screen, Scott Hansen. But moving on, boys, this is an interesting game because some stuff broke out this week today from Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, and this is the Washington Commanders traveling to the New England Patriots. The Commanders just gave up Chase Young to the 49ers. They seem like they love the 49ers. They've been giving everyone up to them and getting nothing really in return. And they gave up Montez Sweat, so two stud pass rushers. They give him up to the Bears. And they're going to New England to face the 3.5 point favorite New England Patriots. And the rumors are, in the offseason, owner Josh Harris is very, very interested in trading for Bill Belichick, the head coach for the Patriots. So, Chris, lead us off here. What you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be another terrible fucking game, honestly. I mean, two terrible teams going back at it. The Commanders are selling, like you said. I mean, the defense, the secondary was terrible. The great thing about their defense was the defensive line, and they got rid of the best two edge rushers that they had. So I think that's going to affect them big time. The Patriots last week, I mean, they played pretty good against Miami. They held them. I know they played good against Miami. Something about Bill Belichick's defense being able to control those fast boys. But like I said, two bad teams meeting. I'm going to take the home team here. Patriots 24, Commanders 16. Could be another snowing game, like Luke said about the Packers.
Yeah,
but Washington's also cold, so that doesn't work in this one. Yeah. So
it does not work in this one.
Foxborough is different though when it's cold.
It's colder, yeah, because it's more north. So colder. Well, it's saying 54 degrees for game time weather with partly sunny. So,
yeah, I mean, but weather changes.
Yeah, tell me Sunday morning.
All right. Well,
I check my weather app a lot, and sometimes it's raining the next day when it says it's not going to.
Sometimes it tells me it's raining outside and there's no fucking rain where I'm at. So, I mean, but yeah, like you said, Chris, two bad teams. I'm very interested. I'm actually very interested in this game. I want to see Sam Howell versus the Patriots defense. I want to see if the rumors are true. Maybe if the Patriots start to fall downhill, they'll trade, get rid of Ron Rivera, and they'll get Bill Belichick to come over there. I don't know how you can trade yourself. He is the general manager, so I don't know what's going to happen here. But I do think that the Commanders gave up, like you said, two of their best D linemen on there. They still have Jonathan Allen down there, not a DN, but they have him out there. And I do think the Commanders are going to play good here. I think they're going to win this game. I think the road team is going to upset the New England Patriots. I'm still not sold on the Patriots. I'm going to go Commanders 23, Patriots 21. Sam Howell has a pretty decent game this week. Go Commanders.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think this will be a very interesting game at all, Mark. This game that's not going to be in my little multi-view.
It's going to be the main one you watch.
It's going to be it's the shit versus the shit going on here. So I think the home shit beats the away shit. So I'm going to go Patriots 20, Commanders 17. Commanders sold the best thing they had going on for their team, which was their 2 pass rushers on defense, and now they have nothing. And the Falcons missed out on the trade. Like, they could have had Sweat. I heard they were in on it, but Falcons are too greedy.
You know what?
Could have Chase Young.
They had Chase Young too. He's a 3rd-round pick.
Well, we had no shot for him because the Niners and Commanders, they're buddies. They gave up Trent Williams and they gave up now Chase Young. There's something going on with those two teams. But Sweat, yes, we could have had. But you know what? Sweat already told the Bears he's no rush to sign a long-term deal. He wants to evaluate his options. So, jokes on the Chicago Bears maybe. Maybe he doesn't sign and he's a fucking free agent and then we'll just get him in the offseason when we have to give up no picks. So, jokes on the Bears.
Or he doesn't want to go to the Falcons. He may not want to go to the Falcons either.
But that means we didn't give a pick, so we didn't waste it because we're not really a defensive end away. We're really a quarterback away. So, and Grady Jarrett, that doesn't fill his role because that's a D tackle. He's a DN, so it's not the same. Like, our interior is still a little shot, but yeah, we'll see. But moving on to these 4 p.m. games, 2 of the 3 of them are shit. So, Luke, don't have these first 2 we're going to do in the multi-view. Have the last one that we do. And just your main screen. Don't do a multi-view for this one. But we'll start off with the Indianapolis Colts coming off a loss to the Saints, traveling to Carolina, coming off their first win of the year against the Houston Texans. Colts are 2.5-point favorites on the road in Charlotte.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest afternoon slot game that we have this week. All jokes aside, though, Panthers, they finally got into the win column. The Colts, they unfortunately have lost 3 straight. JT does seem like he's improving week to week. I know last week, he had like a 50-yard burst, and then after that, he really didn't do much after that one. But he does look like he's improving. But I think the group of veterans for the Colts are going to overpower the Bryce Young. So I have Colts 24, Panthers 17.
Yeah, and the Colts are the worst scoring defense in the league, and I think that changes. I mean, they'll still give a decent amount of points, but I don't think they'll be as high as what they are averaging. Like you said, Chris, Colts coming off a pretty big losing streak here. They're actually coming off a 5-game losing streak. So, yeah, it's been a while since they won. They lost to the Rams. I'm sorry. No, 4. I thought this beat the Titans or lost the Titans. But yeah, you're right, 4. But anyways, I think the Colts come here and they have a good game in Charlotte. I think Gardner Minshew, like you said, Jonathan Taylor having a phenomenal year. He's getting better and better each year, or each game, and Josh Downs, this rookie from North Carolina, phenomenal rookie receiver. Not a lot of people are talking about him, but he's playing good ball. Michael Pittman's getting involved, and I think this defense will have a pretty good game compared to the normal standards, and I'm going to go Indianapolis Colts 30, Carolina Panthers 24.
Yeah, I don't know about this game. I think Gardner Minshew's looking good. Colts overall, solid team. JT's getting going. He's looking good. He looks better and better every week. Yeah, going against the top Saints defense against the rush, he still was able to put up decent fantasy points for me and led me to another fantasy win. So I'm going to go Colts 24, 20.
Yeah, it's going to be that's a shit show. And speaking of a shit show, the New York Giants, Daniel Jones has been cleared to return. He's probably back. Darren Waller has announced he's not playing for at least a couple weeks, so no Darren Waller, but Daniel Jones is back. We'll be traveling to Las Vegas to face the Raiders, who just clean house if you guys were sleeping, which most of you guys on the East Coast and Central Time were, when the Las Vegas Raiders decided to say, hey, Josh McDaniels, get the fuck out of here. The offensive coordinator, get the fuck out of here. Jimmy G, sit the fuck down, dude. They're starting Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. So, Chris, lead us off here. What you thinking with this new interim coach, Antonio Pierce?
Yeah, I mean, big fucking 12 hours for the Raiders, like you said, Mark. Fire the head coach, fire the OC, they fire the GM, they bench Jimmy G. I mean, they fucking cleaned house, which I think they needed, honestly. And now the next step for the Raiders is to somehow rekindle the relationship with Davante Adams, do whatever the fuck you can to make him happy, draft a quarterback, trade for a quarterback, do something to give him happy, because if not, he's about to leave Las Vegas. And like you said, what a shit show of a game that we have in an afternoon slot. The Giants coming off a game where they had -9 passing yards. I don't know how the fuck you do that in modern day NFL when it's a passing
sacks,
first league.
Yeah. All the sacks. So
it's just,
the sacks
yeah.
Takes away the net. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, like, to have -9 yards. I mean, I think it was like an all-time fucking. They almost broke the record for most punts in a game. The Battle of New York was a shit show last week, and it was embarrassing. And the Jets should be embarrassed too. But anyways, I mean, Jordan, fuck the Giants. They needed to win the East. Whatever. Raiders 13, Giants 6.
He's so fucking cluster right now. You said Raiders what? I'm sorry.
Raiders 13, Giants 6.
Oh my god, that's low.
Damn.
It's gonna be another fucking. None of these teams they're shit. They shouldn't even play this game.
Jesus, man.
Flip a fucking coin.
So normally teams play pretty well for their interim coach. They come out with a lot of fire for them. They're playing for your coach, the guy that got thrown into the fire. We've seen it time and time. Every single year. It's like we saw it last year with the Panthers when they fired Matt Rule and Wilkes became the coach. We saw it with Dan Campbell back in the day with the Dolphins. Just another guy to name. And then we saw it with the Raiders just a few years ago. The guy they should have fucking hired as the head coach that replaced John Gruden, he got fired and led them to the playoffs with Derek Carr. That's who they should have hired, but they came in for McDaniels. And I think that the Raiders are going to come out here with some fire. The Giants have defensive line problems. We've seen it, and I think Max Crosby is going to come out and he's going to fucking eat. He's one of the best pass rushers in football, not talked about on a weekly basis because of where he plays. And I think the Giants are going to have a tough time stopping this pass rush. I think the offense is going to have a pretty good game. I think Adams and Myers are going to be involved. I have the Raiders 27, Giants 20.
Yeah, I mean, as long as O'Connell could be like a game manager and not fucking throw up punts like Jimmy G does, like throwing up balls that are not even close to Davante Adams. If he gets within Davante Adams' catch radius, I think it should be a fairly easy game for the Raiders to win. They're probably going to be coming fired up. I mean, I don't think much of the team really liked McDaniels anyways. McDaniels making very poor decisions as the head coach. So hopefully they come fired up. Their interim head coach seems like a fucking Raider, like diehard guy. He's like talking about how he's straight up from Compton, NWA and all that shit. So I mean, hopefully he comes fired up. Team comes fired up, and it's going to be a lackluster performance. I mean, it looks like Raiders are in full tank mode already, anyways. So might as well try to win some games and fuck over the next head coach that they hire. So I'm going to go Raiders 20, Giants 16.
And this would have been a good revenge game, too, if Darren Waller would have played against Josh McDaniels, who literally traded him. It seemed like it was because he didn't invite him to his wedding. But it would have been good to see.
Revenge from the sideline or revenge from the couch.
McDaniels ain't there no more, so he probably doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
That was the problem he had was McDaniels. So, but Antonio Pierce, though, like you mentioned him, Luke, he is a dog. If you don't remember, he was from the Giants' defensive Super Bowl or their Super Bowl against the Patriots when they stopped Tom Brady from going undefeated. He was one of the best defensive players on that team. He's a linebacker, so the man is a dog. We've seen him play football at a high level when he was a player. So, man has respect from the league for sure. But moving on to the game that you should, Luke, have on your main screen TV for the 4 p.m. games, 3 p.m. for you, and that is America's team, the Dallas fucking Cowboys, traveling to the city of brotherly love to face the NFC reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 3-point favorites. The Cowboys coming off a high win over the Rams, and the Eagles coming off a good win as well last week against the Commanders. Julio Jones got in the end zone. He's on the 53-man roster again. Chris, who you starting? Or who you picking?
Yeah, honestly, I think this game probably should have been flexed to Sunday night. I know Bills and Bengals have their little storyline with Damar Hamlin, but those two teams aren't performing like they should have been when they were writing the script. So I think this game should have been flexed. But I think it's gonna be a close game, and like these matchups recently haven't been close. The last 8 matchups, the margin of victory has been over 16 points. So I mean, usually it's been a blowout. But I think this one's going to be close. Jalen Hurts has been a little rather careless with the ball, and I think the Cowboys defense is going to ball hawk him big time. Cowboys, like you said, Mark, offensively, which is big for them, coming off a big win against the Rams. So I think the Cowboys are going to edge this one out. I have Cowboys 31, Eagles 29.
Man. So yeah, big game, man. Like you said, it could have been arguably a Sunday night game, but there's a reason why. I mean, and both teams are still winning records, so there's no way they were going to flex it at all. And it's in Philly, and Dak has had a pretty good track record against the Eagles, but this is a different Eagles team he faced early on in his career, and we've seen him struggle in Philly recently. I know last year he didn't get to play them in Philly. That was the Cooper Rush game. That was the last game that Cooper Rush started before Dak Prescott got back. And I think, God, this is such a good game, but I think the Eagles, man, they're just too explosive right now. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to guard A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who's going to be on him, if Gilmore's going to travel, or if Bland, who 3 pick sixes this year, he's doing pretty good, is going to cover who. And A.J. Brown, 6 games in a row, 125-plus yards. I think that streak goes to 7. I think he has a big game here. I think he's going to be a phenomenal receiver. He's arguably the best receiver in football. I know Tyreek Hill started off hot, but A.J. Brown's right on his heels. He's catching up to him. So, and I don't think the defenses are going to just shut each other down. I think both teams are going to score. I'm interested to see, like I said, Dak, what he does against the Eagles in a late it's going to be America's game of the week, probably on Fox. So, you know, that's going to be all eyes are on this. And I'm going to go Eagles 31-27. Home team wins.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Philly, fly, yeah.
Yeah, this is the coin toss game. I think that the Cowboys are feeling a lot better coming off of last week's win, where they look pretty dominant overall on both sides of the football for once. Usually it's been either the defense has been dominant over the other team, and the Cowboys offense is just not lost some games. But I think Dak's feeling good coming off a big game last week. And Jalen Hurts, he's threw up a lot of punts this year, so to the other team. So he's been a little careless with the football. We're going to see some tush pushes this week, maybe a fake tush push again. So, I mean,
or a fumble one too.
Yeah, or a fumble. So, I mean, Eagles had it all. But I think Cowboys defense is better than Eagles defense. So, I'm going to lead to a better defense with this one. I'm going to go Cowboys 28, Eagles 24.
Damn, look, we picked a lot of games different. This is a week we could split. One of us can catch up, or one of us can keep pulling away from each other. But interesting to see what Doc picks here, because Doc he hates Philly, but he hates Dak Prescott. So interested to see what side he's going to lean on when I get this text in the morning. But
he has Doc on fantasy though.
Well, he has Dak he's got Jalen in his redraft, and he's got Dak in his dynasty.
Oof.
So he just wants a shootout.
Of the game.
He wants a shootout as can be. But moving on to Sunday Night Football, boys, and I think before the game, there's going to be probably a big fucking presentation thanking like the Cincinnati hospital staff, the Bills trainers. You know, they're probably going to do something out there on the field. You know, and we understand why. It's the Buffalo Bills traveling the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals are 2-point favorites. Damar Hamlin, like I said, this was the last Monday night game last year, championship weekend for fantasy football, and the game didn't happen. I mean, it started, but he died on the field. They brought him back to life, and he's back in the NFL. But the question is, does he play? They just got Douglas from the Packers, so I don't know if Hamlin's going to be out there at all. But, Chris, who you leading here?
Did you say the Bills were 2-point favorites? I thought
Bengals are two.
I thought
Bengals.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Bengals 2-point
Yeah,
favorites.
that's right. Yeah, I mean, the Bills, I mean, they had a mini bye week, so I mean that's kind of big for them. The Bengals offense is back to life. You know the NFL script, you know they write it to where the Joe has to suck for the first couple weeks and then he gets back on pace. So I think that's going to be a big factor in this game. I think even though the Bills win over Tampa, I don't think that was a big win. Josh Allen still, I thought, played not just Josh Allen, but I think the offense played poorly still. It just doesn't look like they have a connection out there going. They did sign playoff Lenny to the practice squad. Excited to see when he'll actually be activated. But I have Bengals 31, Bills 28. I think it's going to be a close game. Hopefully this game doesn't end after one touchdown.
Well, I hope not neither. I mean, I'm not mad the game ended. I understand why it ended. But that was championship weekend. I was in the first place game. Christian, you were in the third place game. You know,
I would have won that game.
And I had a chance to win the league. And unfortunately, things happen. You know, it was bigger than us. It was bigger than football. But they had a chance to play each other in the AFC divisional round. And the Bengals took them apart. They won 27-20. It wasn't a close game at all. It was probably Joe Burrow's best game ever in the playoffs. I know he's had some questionable wins, but that was probably his best win in the playoffs. And I think the Bills are coming in here with a little bit of revenge. I think that this is going to be a big game for Josh Allen's offense. I expect Stephon Diggs to have a hell of a game, and I think Gabe Davis, sprinkle him in there as well, a UCF boy. So
Go Knights.
Go Knights there. And I think that Josh Allen, like I said, is going to have a big game. I think this defense is going to play better against the Bengals than they did last year. And, yeah, you're right. Joe Burrow might be back, but this isn't the NFC West. His only 4 wins have come against the NFC West. So until he proves that and beats somebody else, I'm not picking him. I'm going to go Bills 27-24. Road underdogs prevail.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, Mark. I think the Bills are going to be playing more in this game. They're playing for Damar Hamlin, whether he's suited up for this game or not, if he plays or not. I think he's only played a few games so far this season. But it means more for the Bills, I think. They want this win for him. Bills offense, they've been hit or miss this season. Either they're hot or not. I think they come out hot this game. They're going to try to light up the Bengals defense, which has not been too difficult for other teams to do this season. And I think Von Miller's going to have a big game going after Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's, they think everybody's saying he's back because he had one good game. His good games are only to Ja'Marr Chase. So Bills lock down Ja'Marr Chase. They lock down the Bengals offense. Bills win 28-21.
At least it's a good Sunday night game in our eyes. So all eyes will be in Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. This might be one of the best games of the year, I think. So both teams playing for that playoff aspirations as well. And moving on to Monday Night Football, a game that probably would have been heavily talked about if Aaron Rodgers was playing this year. This would have been a game that the Jets would have gone 8-0. The New York Jets are hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 3-4, coming off a hell of a win on Sunday night against the Chicago Bears. But the Jets are, like I said, 3.5-point favorites at home. Chris, where are you leading?
Yeah, I mean, Saul somehow has the Jets at 4-3 right now. It's all that defense. The defense is holding them. So, I mean, if Justin Herbert can put some points up, I don't think Zach Wilson's going to be able to match their offense. I think Chargers seem to widen things out against the Bears. I know it was the Bears, but, I mean, if it takes a bad team to start getting some rhythm in it, then that's what it takes. The Jets offense absolutely looked terrible in New York last week. So, I can't pick. And I know I think this is going to be a close game. And I know Chargers are very bad at blowing close games, but I think they're going to win here. I have Chargers 21, Jets 17.
Like you, Chris, I think it's going to be a close game. This defense for the Jets keeps them in the games. Besides the Cowboys game, that's the only game they haven't been in from start to finish. And I just have question marks still with Zach Wilson. And if you watch the film last week, he actually didn't play horrible. I know they only scored 13 points in a win, but he didn't play horrible, actually. He was making key plays when it was needed. The final drive was phenomenal. And, yeah, the ball he got PI on in overtime. So he did what he had to do to beat the Giants. It wasn't a pretty win, but, hey, it's a win. And the Chargers, man, I still don't know what to think with it. Justin Herbert is one of the more talented losing quarterbacks in the NFL's history. He's so gifted. He's got the raw ability, but he honestly sucks in clutch moments. I don't care what you say. He's not a clutch quarterback. And I don't think this is going to be a clutch game nonetheless, but I do think that the Chargers win 23-17. But you already start looking at fucking Justin Herbert. He better get his ass fucking out, or his head out of his ass. He better start fucking getting together and getting these Chargers back in the playoff hunt, because it's a joke that they're 3-4 right now. But bring Jim Harbaugh in.
Hey, Jim Harbaugh, he could be there next season.
Around. Could turn him around.
All right, that'd be a pretty intriguing job opportunity. Got a quarterback's already signed. I think Justin Herbert just needs some coaching to get him right. Maybe
coaching from a cheater.
Hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And
allegedly,
Michigan's still undefeated.
And they're number 3 somehow. That's kind of bullshit.
You still have to go out there and perform.
Yeah, you still have to perform, and they're performing.
Yeah, they are performing.
He'll go win his national championship this year. He'll leave Michigan. Then he'll go grab one of these teams to fire a coach, and I think the Chargers might be one of those teams that he could be going to. Nice, he can live a nice life in LA with his big time quarterback. But yeah, for this game, I think the better quarterback wins this game. It's gonna be Justin Herbert. Defense is good for the Jets. Chargers defense is, I don't know, a lot of big names, not a lot of production. But hopefully get somewhat of a shootout, and Justin Herbert put some big fantasy points for me this week because I got a few players on bye, and I'm trying to remain undefeated, which may not happen this week for me, but still 2 games ahead from second place. So I'm going to go Chargers 28, Jets 20.
Yeah, Luke, I do think you're going to get your second win in Dynasty too. I was talking to old Rizzy Bud, and he's content.
Yet.
His projected points are like 40 plus right now.
let's ride.
he's officially putting his worst players in, and I tried to explain to him, like, you do realize the worst record doesn't get the number 1 pick. It's a lottery style, and he's like, oh, I fucking forgot. And I was like, so you and Luke can both be last place or the worst 2, and then you never know. I mean, shit, the sixth worst team can get it. So it's all about the ping pong balls or bingo balls, whichever ones we use. So, but yeah, Luke, you might get your second win in Dynasty this week.
Oh, let's go. Let's ride.
Comeback season.
You guys aren't letting me tank.
Do what he does. He said if you do the same shit, he's just taking everybody out. But no, man, big week for football games this week. I think the primetime games are pretty entertaining. Maybe not Monday night, but I'm still interested to see what Zach Wilson does against the Chargers, and Seahawks, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles. Chris, your Survivor, it's literally in your fucking team's hands this week too.
It is. I'm nervous because I'd be heartbroken because the Saints lost to the Bears, and I'd also be heartbroken because I lost Survivor. So
that'd be heartbroken, man.
Man, made it so far to lose.
Yeah, we're at week 9 and we still have 5 people left in Survivor. So it's getting down there. It's getting close. So.
Picking's gotta be real tough now for Survivor.
Oh, it's starting to get tough. Especially I
have preliminary picks picked out to like week 14 right now. So,
and those aren't probably confident 14 picks or week 14 picks neither. Like I was looking at it, like if you didn't pick the Eagles already and you thought you could save them, that sucks for you because they have a gauntlet coming up. So you're starting to trust some of these teams that maybe are like 500, just barely better. But yeah, I can't wait to see who wins it. Like I said, I think after about week 11 or 12, it's going to be picking the nitty and gritty. So, but boys, good luck to your teams this week. Luke, good luck to the Ravens, man. You know, good luck to the old birds because you're playing the other birds out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, I don't think your teams need too much luck. It should be easy wins for you guys. So it should be a stress-free weekend.
No,
at least for NFL football. At least for NFL. College will be different for you guys.
I'll be stressing still for the NFL. It's the Falcons. I said it's a lot of false hope from my history of being a fan.
Not as stressful though.
I wish the viewers could see. I wish the viewers could see the text thread. dropping fuck bombs, and then here we go. We're coming back, and then
reverse psychology. It's like, hey, I gotta say we're not gonna win, so we get back in the game. Like I said, I even said, here's the fucking false hope. Here's where it starts. We have a shot, and then
quit on the Falcons at halftime.
Just turn it off.
It was a pretty bad first half. So I mean, if I would have known that Heineke was coming in, I would have been all fine. But when he came in, I was like, all right, we might have a shot now. It was only 14-3. Texas, though, a little nervous because Murphy's probably still playing. Gets Kansas State, and Kansas State's playing for the Big 12 as well. So we're going to talk some good college tomorrow. We have a lot of college talk tomorrow with this new rankings. So, but yeah, so we'll have some calls tomorrow. Chris, big game for the Tigers. Preview that right now. Preview old Bama versus Tigers. That's what we're probably second thing we talk about tomorrow.
Yep. Big game. Big game with them.
Yeah. Huge game with them.
It's going to be a fucking shootout.
Season's on the line for Bama.
Season's on the line for both of us.
Yeah, I still, just real quick, I still think it's a little hard. Just talking to another SEC guy in my office. I think he's a Georgia fan, Chris, but he went to the same thing.
He's not going to agree with that.
No, he said it's very hard if LSU does win out still from the get there, just because of the whole history since 2014. 2-loss teams just typically don't. I mean, well, they've never gone in. So LSU needs some of these conferences to blow up, and they need to win out. So they need some help from two other conferences, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it would suck not if we do win out and we win the SEC championship. It would definitely suck to not make the playoffs. But I mean, it would still be a huge win for Brian Kelly and the organization to at least make it that far.
And you
Chris
out Georgia.
Big K-State fan this week.
Well, it's not even just K-State. So then he would need OU to lose again. He would need Oregon to. So that's the hard part is the Pac-12 is if Oregon loses to Washington. I mean, if Oregon beats Washington, how high do you still put LSU over Washington if they're one loss? So it's one of those situations where they would need Oregon to lose, and then they would need to beat Georgia and Florida State or the Big Ten to beat each other up. So it's a lot to happen for LSU, honestly. It's that situation if you have 2 losses. Next year, though, you'll see some 2-loss teams in the playoffs. You will.
Conversation for tomorrow, boys.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a good college talk. Hopefully Doc's on there to talk some college. I know it's his favorite. But, boys, big show. Can't wait to talk to you guys tomorrow. Luke, great having you here. Chris, great having you in here as well. Shout out to you, Doc. This is All About the Balls podcast, and we are out. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram @the Sack House.